Namaste. You know, in all of our practice, there comes a time when we get stuck. It feels like we're stuck. We make progress, maybe, and maybe it's measurable, maybe it's demonstrable, maybe our demeanor reflects our growth, our expansion, our experience, our deepening of our understanding. But sometimes, like me, after 33 years of a rigorous Zen practice, when I was really into this idea of silence, quieting the mind, taming the mind, uh, and this is a quote by Ramana Maharishi, a non-dualist, the founder of the order that I'm really appreciating, Advaita Vedanta, or one in the line. And he said, remember this is Ramana Maharishi, he said, silence is truth, silence is bliss, silence is peace, and hence silence is the self. Okay. So this was my ambition, my understanding. First of all, I had no idea of what silence was. It's not the absence of sound. In fact, it's the inclusion of everything. It's ironically, the inclusion of everything is the absence of anything. It's the truth, it's bliss, it's peace, it's the self, it's perfection. Okay, so I didn't have a grasp. The silence I wanted the goal was for clarity. I thought that this silence, to be able to quiet the monkey mind, to shut this incessant chatter during meditation is more noticeable because you're spending more time with yourself, so it becomes more noticeable. You think it's increasing, but it's just that you're noticing it more because the environment, people and things and events will distract you from this monkey mind. And I got to a point where I realized that I had to let it go. And by letting it go, I meant my Zen practice, my Rinzai Zen practice, because it seemed to have failed me. I hadn't reached the ultimate goal. But the ironic thing is, in the process of searching for the golden goose, this quieting, silencing the mind, along the way I was given equanimity, the ability to stay the same in all circumstances and situations. As it turns out, a much greater gift. But unbeknownst to me, I was given this gift while I was busy looking for something else. Okay. So here's a question that I was asking myself. Does being aware without thought mean that one is enlightened? So in other words, does enlightenment, let me reverse that, does enlightenment mean being aware or without thought? Well, it would be nice. But trying not to think is like jumping in a waterfall and trying not to float downstream. What you describe is what needs to happen, but we're powerless to effect it. We think we're trapped in a limited existence. Our thoughts and feelings simply reflect this belief. We can't remove the reflection without removing the object. The answer is to look at what we actually are. When we do, we'll see that we are only silence. We don't need to become silent, only be it. Our true nature is consciousness, all embracing emptiness, the silence of the heart. Again, that's Ramana Maharishi. Look at these answers that I'm finding. It took me years, it's been 10, 12 years since I practiced, 8 years since I stopped my Zen practice when the rigorous training that I'd been doing. I stopped it, and that's when I just let it go. Over the eons, folks have known we don't perceive the world as it is. Objects arrange themselves according to our perception. Immanuel Kant said that. So people have known that we really don't see what's really there. But we don't realize that that the world is ordered according to our ability to see it, our limited facilities to experience it. There's no out there out there. In other words, there's no out there out there. In reality, there is only this now, right now. The idea that there's something external to this is the illusion. That's the Maya. So here's one that Zen students try to jettison concepts and just sit. Okay, this jettison concept means nothing happening, the empty mind. And they eventually see the joke and laugh. And what's the joke? The joke is that there's no out there out there. There's only this. Many have tried to explain this. I call it the cosmic joke. For me, it was the reconciliation of diametrically opposed opposites, up, down, angry, sad, happy, rich, poor, tall, short. Diametrically opposed means opposite, polar opposites. Actually, when I sat on in my meditation period, I understood that this was all just a joke. It made me laugh. This is a cosmic joke. There's a famous mathematician, Edmund Albright, who lived in the late 1900s. Everything we see, hear, and feel is by definition our experience. Yes, that's all it can be. People speak, all people speak, using words that symbolize experiences. Many people speak many words in different ways to express different things. Words are symbols, not experiences themselves. There's no truth in words. There is only truth in experience. And the only experience you can experience is your own. People think the world was created through thought. Actually, thoughts create the world. Otherwise, it does not exist. Ramana Maharishi. And here's my Adyashanti. What's the only thing that can prove worthy of veracity? Prove the veracity, prove the truth of any thought? Is another thought. So, at this point, I want you to just to let it go. Remember, that was what I talked about. Let it go. The higher power is leading you. Let it. It knows what to do. It knows how to do it. Trust it. Bhagavan Sri Ramana, another great. And I want to end this little talk with the insight that's in this, because after you've gone through all of this and you've let it go and you've accepted the necessity, you've accepted the futility of trying to dismiss the monkey mind, that incessant chatter, that is always there with you, as I established earlier. I want to talk about enlightenment, what we call enlightenment. I call it awareness. I don't like the word. I think enlightenment is overused. But what I want to stress here is it's true that only a lucky few attain enlightenment, yes. But there is nothing special about them, or nothing special about me or anyone else. The problem with talking about enlightenment is that humans want it. They want it because they imagine that enlightenment is a solution to all their problems. Not so. And they want it because they see enlightenment as a position. A title conveys superiority, a source of power and status and money. Enlightened ones are special. They are completely extraordinary, but they do not use what they are the way that a human would. So yes, they are extraordinary, but they don't use it the way a human would. Enlightenment ones are extraordinary the way a rare tree is extraordinary. Its extraordinary nature does not render the tree superior to humans. This will never make any sense to a human. But a being can be completely extraordinary and yet not see itself as superior, let alone want to be recognized as such by others. A being can be extraordinary and not judge itself for better, greater, more desirable, more valuable, more important. That a special, extraordinary being could have no interest whatsoever in establishing himself as superior over anything or anyone. Have no interest in using extraordinary nature as a source of status, power, and dominance over anybody or anything. Such a being, such an idea is entirely contrary to how the human mind works. Therefore, it's entirely unbelievable. Therefore, a human will not believe it. Yes, it's difficult to believe. So, a yogi knows the secret of life is to do nothing and accomplish everything. This is through the process of awareness. And I want to wrap this up because on a personal note, I've been a little bit discombobulated, a little bit dizzy, suffering from the extended heat. And my body core just overheated, and I just couldn't seem to cool down. No matter water, how much I hydrated, and I got so that it was dizzy and uncomfortable, and I spent a lot of time resting, and I'm slowly starting to recover, even though the heat is out there. So one of the things that I noticed is that my mind wasn't working for me as well. And, I've had 2 friends that are dealing with dementia right now, and it's been on my mind as I've aging too, that dementia, it seems like something that is less than desirable, to say the least. But I heard of a story of a monk who was suffering from dementia. He was quite a scholar. And he was suffering. Someone asked him a question, then he just thought and thought and thought. He couldn't remember. Instead of panicking, instead of bemoaning the situation, he just said, "Let it go. Its task is done." And just laughed. That's all there is for us, is just let it go, let it be, smile, and move on.